Hi everybody, Adrian Fuentes here. Did you know that the Democrats of Greater Tucson has a website, thedgt.org, and if you subscribe, it's only 20 bucks. You can support this great weekly communication where folks get together. Sometimes there's candidates, sometimes folks like me pop on to help understand what's going on in the world. The Democrats of Greater Tucson, thedgt.org. Join up today.
Okay, so you're our guest today. You're not a mystery guest, but you're certainly our guest. And you're running for re-election as a Democrat for Pima County Assessor in 2024. You were elected as the first female assessor of Pima County in 2020, with over 26 years of combined experience as a taxpayer consultant, mass appraiser, fee appraiser, and real estate specialist. Assessor Droubie brings a wealth of experience and leadership skills. Her unwavering commitment to providing exceptional customer service has transformed the assessor's office into a valuable resource for the constituents of Pima County. Beyond her accomplishments in the public sector, Suzanne held the esteemed position of Vice President of Property Tax Services for a national Fortune 100 company, advising colleagues, associates, and clients on all aspects of commercial property tax. Continuously fulfilling her statutory obligations, Assessor Droubie remains dedicated to transparency, fairness, and equity for all county taxpayers. Beyond her statutory duties, she has implemented innovative programs and assessors that propel the assessor's office toward a more efficient and sustainable future. Her forward-thinking approach reinforces her commitment to serving the community and advancing the overall effectiveness of the Pima County Assessor's Office. Let's give the Democrats of Greater Tucson welcome to Assessor Suzanne Droubie.
Thank you all so much. Yes, I'm the Pima County Assessor. One thing I like to start off these particular speeches with is a thank you to everybody that's watching right now. Your support for my first term was extremely valuable in pretty much the reason why I'm sitting here today. And so I cannot thank you enough for everything that you did 4 years ago. I am currently running this time unopposed. We are hoping that it stays that way. And I want you to know that one of the ways I intend to give back and to pay it forward is by helping all my fellow candidates out there and the Democratic Party in general, getting our message out there, fighting to continue to turn Arizona blue, full blue. Purple's beautiful color, but I prefer blue right now, and I think everybody out there agrees with me on that. We've got quite the fight in front of us to keep moving forward with the vision that the Democratic Party has, and we all play a very large role in that. Beyond that, at the assessor's office, which is what I do, I value properties in Pima County for property tax purposes. And what those property taxes go for is our community, making sure that things keep running, that our school teachers get paid, our fire department is funded, our police department is funded, everybody that works in government gets their paychecks every week. The roads that you drive on are maintained. That money goes for a lot of things. One of the other things that it does go for is some things that are very important to us as Democrats, and that is helping others. We're doing a lot right now out in the community, and I'm very proud to be a part of all of that in a small way. You will be receiving in the mail a letter from me if you haven't already received it. Some of you, I'm sure, got it. My name's on the top. It's called your Notice of Value. It pretty much illustrates my statutory duties in this office. What I do is I put those values on there. I notify you every year of what that value is. You have the opportunity to appeal it. I want to make sure we take a little bit of time today to talk about that notice of value, because it's very important, and it is one of the things that I do for you on a daily basis. And so if you did get it in the mail and you have it and you want to open it up while I'm talking, that's great. If you didn't get it, it is basically got your notice of value on it, and it compares it to last year's notice of value, your full cash value, and your limited value. You need to make sure that the full cash value is what you believe you could sell it for, hopefully a little bit more than what that full cash value states for this year. Your limited value is what your taxes are based on, and I want to make sure that that didn't increase more than 5% unless you made a significant change to your property. And most importantly, right now this year, if you've been watching the news, you know that there were a lot of people that were classified as a Class 4, which is considered a rental property, when they should have been classified as a Class 3, which is a primary residence. So please, everybody, make sure you're taking a look at your classification this year. It's on the same lines as the full cash value and limited value, and it should state that you're a Class 3 property unless you are a snowbird and have a primary residence someplace else in the United States, or you rent your property out more than 6 months out of the year. Those would be the two main instances in which you would be considered a Class 4 property. But most of us are going to fall into that Class 3 range, and what that does is it ensures that you get the state aid to education credit. And if you have been misclassified, then I need you to get a hold of my office so we can fix that, and then get you that credit for, make sure you get it this year going forward and for the 3 prior years, if it has been classified incorrectly. So that's my little explanation on your notice of value for this particular talk. If anybody's got any questions on that, let's take them right now. I'll just interrupt my flow here, because it's kind of important that you understand that. Is there anybody that has any questions at all on their notice of value?
Susie Anderson has a question in the meantime. Oops, I just muted her by mistake. Go ahead and unmute yourself again, Susie, while we wait for Sandy to get his question.
I was wondering, what determines the rise in the valuation from year to year?
We've got the 2 different values on there. One is the full cash value, and that is considered your market value. What we believe at the assessor's office, based on comparable sales, your house would most likely sell for in an arm's length transaction on the open market. So if a real estate agent was to come to your house, you decided you were going to sell, and they were to give you a price that they believe you should put on your house for sales purposes, that is what that market value, that full cash value, should look like. Typically, we're a little bit low, just so you know. We do put a margin of error in there, so usually it's going to be somewhere around 15 to 20% lower than what you probably could actually sell it for. And that can go up every year, depending on what the market's doing, or it can go down. Back in 2008, if you all remember, we had the market values of all of our homes was going down. Lately, the last couple of years, they've been going up quite dramatically. That's what your full cash value should reflect. The limited value, however, that's the value that all your taxes are based on. Statutorily, that particular value can only increase 5% every single year until it reaches the level of the full cash value, and can never go above that. And the reason for that is to kind of help people budget a little bit. It maintains how much those property taxes can go up between that value and the tax rate, because the tax rate also has the truth in taxation notices and hearings that they have to go through and all of that. It's the way that the government tries to keep that as stable as possible so nobody's experiencing a significant rise and the government isn't experiencing a significant low, because all of that has to do with either your budget or the county's budget. And all of that is based on the market. And like, again, that limited value statutorily 5% every year. Now, if you were to put a large addition on your property, let's say, that would be considered a significant change. That is going to trigger what they call a Rule B, and that will be applied to your limited value, and that will change the level of your limited value to match the average limited value of like properties across the county. Gets a little confusing, which is why I make sure that my phone number is on all of those notices so that you can call me if you have any questions as to what your limited value did exactly and why. But for the most part, most people are going to see that 5% increase in the limited value and the full cash value moving up and down with the market. Did that explain it, Susie?
Yes, thank you. And my niece had a question about the valuation. Do you come out and look at all of the houses, or, is there a way, because I've got solar on mine and I don't know that anybody's ever been made aware, and does that affect the valuation?
Very good question. There's over 430,000 properties in Pima County. So we don't get to drive by every single one every year. But one of the things that we do is we get permits from the different government and city municipalities and all these building permits. Brian's probably there right now laughing a little bit. We worked together for a very long time. He knows what I'm trying to say here. But we get building permits for everything that you do on your house as long as you apply for one. Solar is included in that. But just so you know, there is a statute out there. Solar does not increase the value of your home. I do not increase values when you put solar on there. So I'm going to encourage everybody, go out there and look into solar. I have it on my house. I just put on a system that covers my electric, and I'm encouraging everybody to do so. Right now, they've got some amazing incentives to do so, and it will not raise your value or trigger a Rule B when it comes to your property taxes.
With a county of 9,000 square miles, most of it empty, but rural and suburban, urban, ex-urban, how the nuts and bolts, how do you, because real estate is location, 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 how do you break it into manageable units to get legitimate comparisons or equal treatment?
And that's a great question. In Pima County, we work very closely, the assessor's office, the recorder's office, and the treasurer's office. When you buy or sell a house, there's a document that needs to be filled out per statute. It's a sales affidavit, and that states how much you purchased the property for. It states what you intend to use the property for, and it also states any type of relationships or anything like that you have with the seller. So that document gets turned in with all of your closing papers, and it comes to my office. So I get every one of those sales affidavits. And using those sales affidavits, we can get a picture of what's going on out there in the market, no matter where that sale is happening. If the sales happened in Ajo, I'll have all of the sales that happened in Ajo for the last 2 years, all the sales that happened in Oro Valley for the last 2 years. And then we look at the characteristics that we have in the assessor's office and use that to determine the market value of all of the properties across Pima County. It works the same with commercial. So even though we've got 9,000 square miles, because of the information they're collecting when things buy and sell, we're able to take that and use it to apply a fair and equitable value to every property.
So it's the entire county is considered a mass unit of value measurement. It is not broken into location, location, location.
Well, it is location, 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 right, but we get all the sales affidavits from the entire county, and then our system breaks it out into those various market locations.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Okay,
you.
Jackie Day, you have a question.
I do, and because I have my paper in front of me, and maybe you explained this, but looking at mine, the total value for 2024 is higher than 2025. And I'm wondering, how do you know what the market value is going to be in the next year?
Yes, that is the fun of my job. Is what we do here is we don't predict the future, but the notice makes it appear as if I do. Everything that we're doing is behind. It's like a roller coaster is how I like to put it. I use the sales from 22, 23 to value and to predict to value your property for 2025. And the reason we use the sales in the past to value in the future is because you need to have a chance to look at that value and appeal it if you think it's wrong. If I was to just put a value on there for, if this was 2025 and I was doing your tax notice value for 2025 and you didn't have that opportunity to appeal and something was wrong, it would start to involve court cases and all of that stuff, and we just don't want to do that. So every state pretty much across the United States of America is set up on a system where there's that appeal process so that we can try to iron out any differences, give you the chance to give us information we don't have and whatnot, go through this process and change that value before it's set in stone and your property tax is calculated off of it, if that makes sense. So because of that, when you're looking at your notice, you're going to see 2024, which is set already because that was set last year and the appeals process was last year. Now we're looking at 2025. You've got a chance to appeal that before I set it in stone and we use it to calculate the taxes. That's why it looks like we're kind of predicting what's going to happen in 2025. When in reality we're not. We're just providing you with that opportunity to appeal. It's also why you will see, because it's kind of a roller coaster effect, when the market starts to go up, we're always going to be a little bit behind. And so the market's doing this, your value is doing this. And then if the market starts to do this, your value is going to follow that, which means there's going to be some years where even though the market has dropped significantly, you're still going to see your value up a little bit higher and not drop until the following year, because we got to follow that roller coaster because we're a couple of years behind, and those are the sales that we're able to use by statute to value your property.
Thank you.
I would like to highlight that we have another candidate today, Brian Johnson. Brian's running for treasurer as a Democrat, and I think you have another Democrat running as well, too, right, Brian?
Sami Hamed.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, let me unmute here. Yes, yeah, I do have a primary opponent, Sami Hamed. We're both vying for what will be an open seat, but the treasurer's office has been in Republican hands now for over 50 years. But the reason I'm running, and
I know. Hopefully I'll be pulling the equipment and I'm gonna be covering all this wood for you, okay?
okay, all right. I wasn't quite hearing that, but
Okay. But we wanted to say thanks for coming today.
okay.
And I'm sure there'll be opportunities for you to speak at happy hour as well as our Zoom meeting on Monday. Right,
Okay.
Mike?
Absolutely. We're trying to set up a debate between the two of them, in fact.
Good, good. Okay. Susan, anything else you'd like to share?
Yeah, I want to make sure that everybody knows that one of my platform, part of my platform was customer service and ensuring that I was increasing customer service in the assessor's office, doing what I could to make government a resource, which I firmly believe that it is. One of the things that we've done here at the office is we have created a catalog of informational brochures that go over a lot of our value relief programs. And so I want to make sure everybody knows that we have programs out there for seniors. We have a senior freeze program. We have a veterans program. We have a disabled persons program, a widowers program. We have all sorts of programs out there. So if anybody knows of anybody that could possibly benefit from one of these programs, please get them to my office. Have them call the number. All of those brochures are on my website. There's links to all of them. You can print them, or I can get them out to you. All you need to do is contact the office. I'll mail one to you. What I'm really trying to do right now, and you can help, is push all of these services, resources that have been available to taxpayers for years, but just nobody's ever known about them and they haven't had the information. And I also want to stress things are changing on some of these programs every single day. They're passing new laws, changing criteria and things of that nature. So even if you know somebody who's applied before, we need to get them to the office to apply again. If they can't make it to the office, I will send somebody out to them, to their home. I don't want anybody to feel like they can't apply for these because they can't get down to the office or the forms are too cumbersome. That's what we're here for. So we will come out to your house. We will find a way to help you with parking. If you come down here, if that's an issue, whatever obstacles you have, I can overcome them. I want to make sure everybody has all of that information at their fingertips so that nobody's falling through the cracks. Transparency, equity, but more importantly is the community and making sure that everybody's being taken care of. Does anybody have any questions on any type of exemptions out there? I'll make sure, like I said, I will come to that next happy hour at the end of the third week in March, I believe. I will be there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring along all of my brochures so that everybody has anything that they need, and I'll be there with them to go over them with anybody that has any questions. Beyond that, like I said, I don't have...
We do have a question. Susie Anderson has a question.
I'm just reading my notice evaluation, and it has as cooling, it has evaporative. We've been using air conditioning for about the last 20 years. Should I have that changed, or is it a moot point?
I would say, because I want to be as accurate as possible in the characteristics of everybody's home, because we never know when things are going to change. Yes, call my office and let them know that you are, what kind of system you have. They'll go over the rest of the characteristics with you also and make sure that everything is as accurate as possible. If you ever look at the characteristics and something seems off with your notice, call the office. We'll get it fixed, or we'll send somebody out to the house to go over everything with you to make sure that everything's consistent with the information we have here.
Okay, thank you. I never read anything except for the numbers, so I've been missing that.
I'm glad you read the numbers, because you'd be amazed how many people don't even do that. So thank you for opening it and taking a look at it. That is one of our major drives over the next couple of years, is to get everybody to understand how very important that notice is. the row officers, the recorder's office, treasurer's office, assessor's office, we work really hard. These are jobs. I am here 40 to 50 hours a week. What we do here directly affects everybody out in the community, and so spreading the word so that everybody knows what we do at the assessor's office and how it affects them is my number one priority. Education is, imperative. Knowledge is power. We need to know, especially with this. This is one of the largest parts of your budget, especially when you're a retired citizen and living off of Social Security and your savings. I mean, this is $3,000-$4,000 a year that some people are having to pay. So whatever I can do to lessen that burden with the valuation relief programs, or just making sure that it's as accurate and equitable as possible so that you're not paying a dime more than you have to. That's what we're doing here at the assessor's office and the treasurer's office and the recorder's office when it comes to properties. There is a little thing, I'm going to do a little plug. I don't know if our recorder is online, but one thing I am going to say is that we also have a new program there as far as deed fraud goes. Deed fraud is a problem right now across the country. The recorder's office has a program that you can sign up for. It's an opt-in program. Please go to the recorder's website if you need help doing that. I can help you do that. My office will also help you do that, get you there. Opt into that program, because what that will do is if any change is made to your title or an attempt is made to change your title, you will get notified of that change. Okay? Like I said, deed fraud is a huge problem right now. I'm working together with the recorder's office and the treasurer's office to make sure that the members of this community are as protected as possible. When you pay off that house and there's no mortgage company involved anymore, and things of that nature, it makes it a lot easier for somebody to come in and sell your house out from underneath you, for lack of a better way to explain that. Deed fraud is a thing, it is happening, and we need to make sure that everybody out there is as protected as possible. So go to the recorder's office, opt into that program, so that you can get any types of notifications. We're also working on other things down in legislature to make you as safe as we possibly can. Working with things such as notaries, making sure things coming from out of state are being doubly checked. It's really important. So that's the importance of these row offices. We are there working every single day to protect you at the door. Legislators are out there changing laws to help protect you, but we're the ones that we're kind of the gatekeepers with a lot of this stuff. And so if you ever need to know anything about a row office, please get a hold of me. We're working really hard to make sure that you're all taken care of in your everyday lives and in the future.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, Mike.
So first of all, thank you for that. I actually signed up for that program. I think it's called Eagle Eye or something like that. Something to do with an eagle anyway, because I recently paid off my house and I wanted to make sure I was protected. And I also protected my mom's house that way. So I wanted to get a question in about any innovations that you've made in your time in office, any changes that you've made to the office, new programs that you've started. What should we be aware of that you've done?
One thing that I've done is I started a program called Rapid Response. Some of you have already heard about it. It is extremely important to me. It came about when it started back in 2008 when I started at the assessor's office. I was assigned Mount Lemmon, and I had to go get all the properties back onto the roll up in Mount Lemmon after the Aspen fire. When I went up there, I noticed that there were still some properties that were on the roll that shouldn't have been because of, just for whatever reason, we don't get up to Mount Lemmon very often. I came back to the office because it concerned me that people were still on the rolls when their house had burnt 5 years prior. I was told at that time that it was the responsibility of the taxpayer to contact our office and let us know if something like that, of that nature, had happened. And it was the taxpayer's responsibility to ensure that their house was taken off the roll. Fast forward to me running for office again and the Bighorn fire, and all of this came rushing back to me, and I'm looking up at the mountain. I live up in Catalina, and it was like right in my backyard. And I spent a lot of time praying that those houses and those cabins weren't hit again. It is tragic when it happens, and it's magnified when you're paying taxes on things, and just the whole process. I knew how heartbreaking and frustrating it could be. I was elected, and one of the first things I did was implement the Rapid Response Program. What the Rapid Response Program is us working together with the fire departments, flood control, and different organizations across Pima County. When a tragedy strikes your home, I get notified of that, and I, in this office, send a team out to you to assess the damage and revalue, and in many cases, get the property off the rolls so that you are not having to pay taxes while you're trying to rebuild or whatever, or deal with whatever you're dealing with and figure out what you're going to do moving forward. I never want anybody that suffers any type of a catastrophe to have to think to themselves, oh, I think I should call the assessor's office, or I need to call the assessor's office.
It's the last thing on your mind.
Right, exactly. That's the function of government. I believe that government is here to serve the people. Put the service back in public service. That is my tagline. I live it every single day. Government is a resource. The assessor's office is a resource, and it's one of the little things that I can do to make sure that I am making sure that I take care of the people that put me here. My website is being redone, and to, again, another way to create a resource for everybody out there. So that program is, thank you, Michael, for bringing it up. It's, as you can see, I'm very proud of it. It's the crown jewel. We've won some awards for that. It is the first of its kind across the nation. One of the ways Pima County is forging a path forward and showing people how it should be done. I'm very proud of our county. We do great things here. So, and that's just a little part of it, but I'm pretty proud of it. So
well, we're proud of you for it too. And, I just got to point out here that this is why Democrats are so effective in government, why the economy generally does better. We look at government as a service for the people and not people serving the government like some others. And, that tends to have positive economic results for people. So, yeah, thank you for instituting that rapid response program. I think that's an important distinction to make, even though you don't have an opposition as of yet. This is something that you've done that you are rightly proud of. I wanted to ask another follow-up question. What's the difference in valuation or assessment regarding the difference between a residential property and a rental property?
Residential property, primary residence, some of us have heard of it called homesteading. It's called different things in different parts of the country, but basically what a primary residence is to you is it is the home that you mainly live in. So you have to live in it 6 months and 1 day. And so what that means to you is that you get certain benefits to it being your primary residence and it being here. And that is how it is across the country. So you only get one primary residence in the United States. It can be here, it can be Minnesota, Colorado, wherever it happens to be. You're going to receive those tax incentives that each individual state has. In Pima County, the main incentive is the state aid to education. It's a percentage, and it's based on the area that you live in. It can be anywhere from $200 to $600, but it's very dependent on where you live and what school district you're in, because it is the state aid to education. Rental property, or class 4, means that you you don't live in that house for more than 6 months and 1 day of the year, or you don't rent it to a family member. I could own a house here and rent it to my daughter, and because she is my daughter, we could call that a primary residence because she's renting it, but I still can't have another one anywhere else in the United States. So there's certain criteria you have to meet, and they do not receive in Pima County the state aid to education if it is a rental property. Right now, everything else is pretty much the same. If you're a primary or a rental, it's still going to be the 10% ratio, which is the number we use to help calculate your property taxes. Everything else, again, like I said, is pretty much the same. The reason it is so very important that if you are a class 3 that you signify that with our office to ensure that it's correct is because things change every single day. There's legislation going in every day being proposed to not make everything the same for a primary residence and a rental property other than that education. And right now, I don't want anybody else to get caught up in any type of negative impact to owning a rental property. Rental properties typically signify that there's an income involved in it. If you're renting it for a dollar amount, you're receiving an income. They're looking at ways to possibly impose an additional tax of some sort to those people that own those properties because of that income. There is a school of thought that the more rental properties we have out there, the more that contributes to our affordable housing crisis. And so there's a lot of things going on right now, and at any time, things could change. So I need to make sure that your classification is correct so that you don't get caught up in anything, again, like I said, that could negatively come down the pike for being classified a class 4.
So there's currently no difference in the taxation rate between a class 3 and a class 4, but by they, I assume you mean the state legislature.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that could change.
Yeah.
So
I was wondering, do people ever challenge their valuations, and how does one go about that if one were to do that?
Yeah, we have people challenge their valuations all the time, and I encourage it. If you look at your notice and you have any questions and you see anything on there that you don't think is correct, obviously call the office first so that we can go over your notice and explain everything, and we will even go over some comparables with you, let you know how we came to that conclusion of your value or your classification. And if at the end of that conversation you believe that anything is incorrect, we will help you fill out the appeal paperwork. And you have 60 days from the mailing of that notice in which to file that appeal. We don't get paid based on valuation. We're not here on commission. Everybody gets paid an hourly wage, whether you appeal or not. Everybody in this office wants to just make sure that it's correct. Because if everybody's value is correct, everybody's classification is correct, then everybody is paying their fair and equitable share of taxes. So it's critical that everything is correct. The assessor's office and the community work together. It is a partnership. Again, 430,000 properties across Pima County, 9,000 square miles, as was brought up earlier. If I didn't have the help of the public through this appeal process, my job would be that much harder. That's how a lot of things come to light, is through that appeals process. And like I said, we're not here to be right, we're here to get it right. We want to make sure that everything is correct. And you've got 60 days from the date of that mailing. If it is a factual error, you can file that type of an appeal at any time during the year. So if you ever think that there's an issue, please call the office and we'll make sure that we get it taken care of.
I had another follow-up, and that's, do you guys use satellite photography or anything like that to track what's going on with the property?
We have oblique photos and aerial photos, and we do look at those, and we will use them if we think that, if we found like a discrepancy, because when we get those sales affidavits I was talking about earlier, if we go onto the MLS and we see that the MLS has something listed as 3,000 square feet and we have it in our records as a 2,000 square foot property, a lot of times we'll look at those aerials and use it to kind of verify the information, see what could possibly be going on and what the reason is for that discrepancy. But right now, we don't necessarily use them to find. We don't have like the heat overlays or anything like that. That's part of the technology that I'm looking into in the future. They're a nice tool and they're a great tool for the community. If you're ever looking out there and you want to see your aerial view and see what it is that we're looking at, there's measuring tools on there. You can play with them yourselves. So we do have them, but as far as using them to catch any changes, we're not quite there yet. I'm playing catch up with technology. I plan to get there in my next term, so you'll see a lot of more fun things that we're able to do the next go round, so to speak. And we don't use drones, just so you know.
Susie Anderson has a question.
Suzanne, I've been wondering about the low-income housing that's going up. Do property taxes reflect that even though it's a new property, that you're paying less because it's low income?
We have, what we do with the low-income housing is there is a process that the builders go through when they're building low-income housing properties, and we classify, we put a use code on them that signifies to our office that they are low income. Now, depending what type of low income, there is Section 8, there's LIHTC properties, there's all different types, there's senior housing, veteran housing. There's different methodologies for valuing all of the different types of low-income properties.
Like Habitat for Humanity, Habitat houses, and casitas on property, does that affect valuation?
If you build a casita, it is going to affect your property value, yes, because you now have another structure on there. You will still be considered a Class 3. It can still be your primary residence, and you can have a casita and be renting out your casita. That if you live in the main house for more than that 6 months and 1 day, the property is still going to be considered your primary residence, and you can rent out casita or build the casita, but it will, yes, increase your property because it's another structure. And it also would affect your marketability because you'd be able to sell it more because of that additional structure. So we don't treat like casitas or low-income housing as we would like solar. It's a whole different situation. Solar's not, we can't look at solar to increase the value, but a structure we can. However, that's how it works with the primary residence with the casita. Again, there's different ways to value different types of affordable housing. Low-income properties, LIHTC properties, they're going to have a lower valuation on them. Section 8 will have a lower valuation on them. And all of that has to do with, again, their marketability because everything's based on market. But if you have a project or a property that is an income-producing property and you're collecting less income because you are providing a service for of the low-income variety, then that's going to be reflected in the market value. It gets a little complicated, but just note that there is an impact to the value if you are a low-income service property of any type. Does that make sense as far as the distinction there? So, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. We're getting pretty close to the 1 o'clock hour. Let's give Suzanne a big round of applause this time. Big warm welcome for wonderful presentation. Our wonderful Democratic assessor.
Thank you for
Can I
joining us.
just remind everybody that's still there, just really quick?
Yeah.
We have some candidates out there that are just announced they're running. And so if you have not been on eQual lately, please go to eQual and sign all of the petitions that are available for you to sign. Let's make sure that all of our candidates get onto the ballot. Let's do what we can. There's some of them that are really, really out there pounding the pavement trying to get this done, and that's one little way that we can help them make sure that they're successful.
It's also really great for the candidates because when you fill out the information online, it does not have to be verified.
Yeah.
It's part of the system.
It's already verified. Yeah.
Yep.
And I will note that, in fact, we do have a new challenger for District 4 Board of Supervisors. So somebody's challenging Christy. I believe her name is Vivian. Is that correct? So yeah, check that out. I'm sure she's going to have a new website up soon.
Yeah, that's a great development.
Hey everybody, it's Senator Mark Kelly. As all of you know, Arizona Democrats have had a lot of important wins over the last few years. We won 2 U.S. Senate races, and we delivered Arizona's electoral votes to President Biden and Vice President Harris. We elected Governor Katie Hobbs, Secretary of State Adrian Fontes, and Attorney General Chris Mays. Now, those elections were close, and our victories mattered. Arizona Democrats from the federal to the local level have delivered real results for our state on critical issues like combating climate change, lowering prescription drug costs, protecting the right to vote, and preventing more restrictions on abortion access. The Democrats of Greater Tucson offers the opportunity to hear from elected officials and candidates about that important work and the issues that matter to them. That information will be invaluable as Arizonans head to the polls. So this election cycle, whether you're signing up to knock doors, make phone calls, or joining the Democrats of Greater Tucson to hear from and speak to Democrats in our area, please know that your voice matters and we need you on this team. Thank you.